time for Anime-Zing Radio on the Blogtalk Radio Network with your hosts, Doug Engler and Darren Starling.
Anime-Zing Radio is brought to you tonight by homecirclemedia.com for the latest and greatest in anime gear, everything from pens, pencils, stationery, and officially licensed art books. Be sure to check out homecirclemedia.com today or look for them at an upcoming convention near you. We're also brought to you tonight by Casey Fox, that's KAYCIFOXX, for all of your artwork, cosplay, and photography needs. Be sure to check out Casey Fox on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Good evening, everybody. We're going to try this again. Welcome to Anime-Zing Radio here on the Blogtalk Radio Network. Last night we had started the show. We were going to, have some fun, and something went terribly wrong, and the show ended abruptly. We think that it's all because Darren was talking crap about, the simul dubs as opposed, or the dubs as opposed to the subs, and somebody didn't like that. But we are here. Of course, joining me in the co-host seat is our good friend, Mr. Darren Starling.
Good evening. I promise I did not incite what happened last night.
And we're going to have fun tonight. Tonight, our guest, he was so gracious and understanding about, technical issues. He understands that stuff happens. But tonight, our guest is Rusty Gilligan. We're going to be talking to him more about the projects that he just had going on, including a new card collector set of dinosaurs, which is really cool. I've seen some of the artwork from a lot of the different artists who have been a part of the set, and it's been really, really interesting. So definitely want to stay tuned for that. He'll be joining us in the second segment of the show. We're also trying something new tonight, so hello, YouTube. If you're interested in checking us out, you can go search Anime-Zing Radio on YouTube. Click the link, come on in, join us, and we have an active chat room there, so you can hop into the chat, let us know what you think of the show. If you have questions for us or for our guest, definitely want to pop them in there. I will be monitoring that chat room and the Blog Talk Radio chat room tonight, so it is fun. It's going to be busy, and I know, Darren, you're all ready and raring to go tonight. Because last night we started things off talking about some stuff that you didn't get a chance to fully gripe about. And I know you're still outside at work, kinda, and so you're muting the mic so that we don't pick up a ton of extra exterior sound. But did you have anything you wanted to say?
If you want to learn anything about lawn care, I'm going to keep my mic open.
So we're having fun here. For those of you, if you're new to Anime-Zing Radio, this is the first time that we're really trying it out on the YouTube side of things, and you get to see our logo on the YouTube side. You get to see a picture of me. I have the webcam going. Tonight I am wearing a different shirt. I don't know if you can see it very well. It is the Hidden Dungeon Only I Can Enter shirt, which I got from Loot Crate, the Crunchyroll box from Loot Crate, and so definitely it was a fun show to watch. I enjoyed that one. It's kind of, if I had to compare it to another anime, which, let's be honest, all these shows kind of run together with a isekai feel, I would say this one more is a, is it wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon? Only turn up the pervy level to somewhere between Konosuba and High School DxD.
Well, does it reach Kanakon level?
You'll have to check it out to find out.
Do you remember that show, by the way?
Honestly, I don't.
It was the one where you had basically a younger boy, and he was being seduced by a fox spirit and a wolf spirit. It's like one of the earliest. It kind of started the whole ecchi trend, to be honest.
Okay.
Because it came out in 2006, I want to say. 2006, 2008, somewhere in the early 2000s. And it was after that show that a lot of ecchi titles started.
Okay. And his phone cut out just for a moment there. And I'm kind of bouncing between a few different things here, so.
And if you hear any background noise, I apologize. I'm using my phone in the truck and I'm driving, so.
But he's got it on speakerphone, so he's being safe. Hands-free.
Yep. And if you pick up any noise, I'm behind a truck that has the signature Carolina squat. So jacked up in the front, squatted in the back, and unnecessarily loud exhaust.
And hidden in the back of the truck is none other than...
Funny. Yeah. Because you gotta have company when on these trips.
Is it wrong that I would want to get a vinyl sticker of Momo to put on my car? I would do it. Gotta
Turn your car into an Natasha, turn your car into a Natasha. I dare you.
I'm not. Is that the faces?
Is that the what?
The faces, those goofy.
Basically, a Natasha is basically the official name for when you weave out your car.
Oh, okay. See, I don't know that stuff, but I do kind of want to get some decals for the car to put on for Anime-Zing Radio, for Casey Fox. Put on. I want to get a nice big Albedo to put on the hood. Since, we are weebs. We named the car Albedo. Well, the Toyota Camry we had was named Senko, and the Chevy Trailblazer that we had was named Elena, after Elena Arshevina from World End, or World Break. The ironic thing about that one was, I don't mean to interrupt you there, the odd thing about Elena Arshevina, having that car named that, we actually had Michaela Krantz ride in that car, who is the English voice actress of Elena Arshevina.
Oh my goodness. That's funny. I guess I could technically dub my truck Zenobia because it's the same color as her hair just about. Maybe just not as, the newer series had her hair kind of lighter shades of blue, and the original studio had it in darker, and I kind of got that darker appearance on this truck.
All right. And of course, the big news going on right now, a lot of people excited about, is the Demon Slayer movie will be streaming exclusively on Funimation tomorrow night.
Yay!
I already know my wife has been on my case about getting snacks, and she's going to be sitting and watching it.
I have not watched it yet, even though I have means to do so.
Yeah, I have not watched it either. Well, I can't say I haven't. I've watched 6 episodes of it, and it's I just can't really get hugely into it, and I feel bad because I know it's such a popular show.
Well, like I said, it didn't really become all that big of a deal until episode 21, 22, one of those last couple of episodes, and it was mostly because of the flawless animation done by Ufotable. That it was basically CGI mastered at that point, which so many shows have attempted CGI and it just went horribly. Berserk 2016. But that was one of the main reasons it started getting popular, was near the end of the series, after that one scene of near flawless CGI.
Oh, yeah. And I'm trying to do some promotions of the show to try to see if we can get some people coming over to the YouTube side of things to see how we sound on there, make sure everything sounds good. We did some trial and error last night on Skype after Blogtalk had some issues, and things sounded good, so we're hoping everything sounds good on the YouTube side going through the Blogtalk connection. So hopefully you can hear everything going on. I know there's specific things, like we are going to have to not air any of the music that we play with my mic live. So I'm going to have, you'll probably hear me go to commercial, and then we'll go to, I'll play after I mute my mic. I'll start playing, so there might be a little delay there, but we're trying some new things out. Toying with the idea of switching to YouTube to do the show, and I think it could work out pretty good.
I think so too. Based on what we experienced last night, just seems like a lot more user-friendly.
It's just going to take some time for me to learn everything.
Don't worry, I'll help you.
And I also was talking with our friend Douglas Shute about the platform that he uses to stream when he does the Chaotic Goodcast podcast, which unfortunately tonight I'm going to miss the first hour of the show because we're live. We're going to be countering them from 9 to 10, and then I may duck out so I can hear the last part of their show. So I do apologize if I cut out quick after 10, Darren.
I don't care. I may have to go to work in the morning because my boss is so happy I'm back.
And I wanted to also, I didn't get a chance last night, but we had a monumentous anniversary that passed this past Friday. And of course, I want to wish my wife a very happy wedding anniversary. We've been married for 5 years this past Friday. And ironically, our guest tonight is the man who married us. This was not set up or planned like that. It just kind of fell into place.
All things happen for a reason.
Exactly. And also, which means a big happy anniversary to Megan Shipman, who got married the same day that my wife and I got married. And we know this because I had put an invite out to her if she would like to come up to our wedding, and she said, "I thank you for the offer, but I am getting married the same day." So, big happy anniversary to Megan Shipman and her husband. Wishing them all the best. We're actually going to have Megan joining us on July 11th. So that's going to be a fun show. You definitely want to check that out. And so, anime-wise, we've had a lot of different things that we've been watching. We touched on it a little bit last night with the I've been killing slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level. I have to say, when you think the show has maxed out on cute characters, they decide, oh, what the heck, let's just make the main character look even more adorable by turning her into a child. We didn't really get a chance to jump in on that last night because we had the sudden glitch and the shutdown, but what was your thoughts about that?
Cute, very cute. And seeing the reaction was probably the better part. Particularly Beelzebub, I think, had one of the best reactions.
Who are you? Whose child is this? And it makes me want. They're really good about making, like, these characters are adorable, and now you want to see what happens next. Okay, well, they just turned the main character into a child, and then had to have her grow back up again, which the end of it the end of the show led to some nice fan servicey things, and of course, the Demon Lord being the Demon Lord, wanting to get closer with her sister, so to speak.
Yep.
I don't know a better way of putting that.
I don't know how to. I don't know. It's like the whole show is leaning one way because there are practically no males in this show.
There really aren't. You see very, very few, and all the girls that have come into the show, all of them are adorable in different ways. I don't know if I have seen a clear-cut waifu outside of Beelzebub yet. Beelzebub, I could see people put into the waifu category.
Ditto.
But like the dragon girls are adorable, but I don't know if I would put them in waifu. The two slime children, definitely not. The ghost girl, no. Even the main character is just kind of a plain Jane, blonde hair, blue eye, run-of-the-mill character. Like you see him in every anime. It's like, okay, well, they took Lucy Hafelia's design, made her a little flatter, and changed it up a little bit, but you still got the blonde hair, blue-eyed girl. She's just more tolerable than Lucy is. Sorry, Fairy Tail fans, but if you want to know our opinion on some of the fan bases, listen to our archive of last week's show when we bitched about all of them. And actually had a lot of fun doing it.
Sorry, I stepped away for a second. I was picking something up from one of my customers.
Oh, good. So, we've got a lot of fun stuff planned here. Like I said, we got some changes that are going to be coming to Anime-Zing Radio in the coming months. We're going to be updating our logo, possibly changing our home from Blogtalk to YouTube. We're going to be looking at doing more promotions at conventions. I am excited to say that I have been approved for the time off for Kineticon. After I get back from Kineticon, I will figure out about plans for AAC, and also I'm waiting with bated breath to hear if we get press for Anime NYC, which if we get press for that, that's going to be huge. It's going to be good and bad. I'm going to be excited about going to Anime NYC, but I'm going to be terrified to be in New York City.
I have not been to New York City. I've only been to upstate New York.
And I've been through New York City. I've been to Astoria, New York, which is like on the outskirts or like a suburb of the city. But I really haven't been anywhere really in the city because I don't like cities. Going to Boston has been a stretch, and I'm from Massachusetts, from 20 minutes outside of Boston.
In other words, you don't like the big cities.
No. I'm not a fan of the cities. I am more comfortable living in the countryside. Give me open fields. Give me, an acre or two of land that I could have fun with. Give me a nice riding mower and give me a yard that it takes me 2 or 3 hours to mow with a nice riding mower, and I'd be happy.
Well, I can give you some equipment that'll cut that time in half.
Oh, I'm sure you could. And I'm sure for the right price you'd come up and mow it for me.
Oh yeah. You would really have to make it worth my while.
I'd be like, okay, yeah, we're gonna have Lauren Landa at the house. You want to come up and mow my lawn? She's gonna be cosplaying as Zenobia. The next thing I know, there'd be a knock on the door before we got off the phone, and you'd be like, "I'm here."
Meet me.
I got isekai to your house, and now a show just was, and I know a lot of fans of people who have listened to the show in the past have heard me rant and rave about the Show by Rock franchise. And the original Show by Rock, and I didn't really get a chance to talk about this last night before the show went kaput. So I wanted to talk a little bit about it now. Show by Rock franchise has been a series that I really, really have enjoyed. I love the music in it. The characters are adorable. Again, it's a series that I don't know if there's any clear-cut waifus in there, but I did a top 5 favorite characters from the Show by Rock series. That includes Mashi Maresh and the original Show by Rock, and that includes all the bands in there, everybody from Plasmagica, Gritty Krista, Mashi Maresh, Shingun Crimson, Dojokin Finger, and all the rest, Daru. I sound like I'm retarded talking some of these names, but Show by Rock Mashi Maresh was just late last week dropped in dub. Megan Shipman was the ADR director, and she did a great job at bringing in some new and old cast. And I have to say, when I first heard the cast before hearing a single episode, there were names on there I didn't know. There were names on there that I was excited. Like, having seen Mashi Maresh in Japanese and Show by Rock Stars in Japanese, I knew the characters, I knew the songs. And when I heard Emmy Lowe had gotten announced as Delman, I immediately was like, yes, she is perfect for Delman. We've been lucky enough to have her on the show in the past. Wonderful, wonderful voice actress, very talented musician. I've listened to her play piano as she's live streamed before. So really, really excited about that. After watching, what have we seen, like 8 or 9 episodes of the series now, I have to say probably the biggest shock when it comes to the singing side of things is a voice actress by the name of Giovanni Cruz. Now, I didn't have like really any knowledge of her. She's only done a couple of things here or there, anime related. Himiko is her first like main character. She's done more stuff on TV shows and things like that as an actress, and not so much in the voice acting world. But oh my God, can this woman sing? She is amazing as a singer, and I definitely, hats off to Megan for bringing her on board, and really everybody did a great job with the singing. Of course, with any anime, you always seem to have those 1 or 2 characters where the voice just kind of like something about a character annoys you, whether it's the way that it's voiced or the way that the attitude that they give them. And I'm not going to say that the voice actor was bad for this character. Hachin, who is a bee character, he is basically, they're all animals, he is a bee. He's feisty, he's annoying. The voice that Chris Sykes, and this is Chris's first major role as well. And like I said, hats off for bringing in some of these new faces. I love seeing new voice actors coming in. Chris Sykes did such a great job at making Hachin annoying with his voice and the attitude. It's like, I hate this character, the voice is annoying, but you know what? They did a great job at making this character a character you're going to remember because they're annoying. He's kind of like that annoying... Who's the one that everybody hates in Demon Slayer, the blonde-haired guy?
No comment.
But you know who I'm talking about, or...
There we go.
Because there was that one character in Demon Slayer.
Hello, Doug. Are you still there?
Can you hear me?
Hello,
Zenitsu.
Doug.
Zenitsu. I am still here. Can you hear me? We've run into this before. Yep, he lost signal. So we're going to wait for Darren to come back. Actually, this is a good time to go to our bottom of the hour break. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Rusty Gilligan and talking with him about some of the stuff he's got going on. It's been a while since we've had Rusty on the show, so definitely stay tuned for more Anime-Zing Radio right here on the Blogtalk Radio Network.
Funny.
All right, Darren, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I think I just pulled in my driveway and it might have switched to the Wi-Fi at my house, which I don't like. I mean, granted, my Wi-Fi calling and everything works great, but for some reason it has the tendency to disconnect at my house. And my parents' house with Wi-Fi, I never had this problem. So I actually had to turn my Wi-Fi off.
Let's see, if we do this...
and you're listening to Anime-Zing Radio.
And welcome back to Anime-Zing Radio here on the Blogtalk Radio Network and on YouTube. We're simulcasting on YouTube tonight, so hello to anybody who's over there in the YouTube channel checking us out. We are excited tonight. Of course, I'm your host, Doug Engler. Joining me as always in the co-host seat is our good friend, Mr. Darren Starling.
Hello.
And we are joined by an amazing guest. This gentleman is someone who I've had the honor of being friends with for many, many years. This gentleman, I had the honor of marrying my wife and myself 5 years ago this past Friday. And he is an amazing artist, actor, voice actor. He was a professional wrestler. There's not much I think he hasn't done. And we are so excited to welcome this gentleman back on with us. Please welcome Rusty Gilligan back to the show.
Wow, what an introduction. You think I was winning an Oscar.
I'd like to thank my fans, my friends, and myself.
That's it. Thank you, Mom. I appreciate it. It was really cool. Thank you for letting me stay up late. So how are you doing, my friend? It's been a while.
It has been a while, and I am so excited to have you back on. And again, thank you for being understanding about technical issues last night and being able to be available for tonight.
Not at all. This happens, man. I've been in the industry for a long time. You have no idea. This is like the most minor thing ever.
And but like I said, I'm excited because we're trying something new this week. We're live streaming on YouTube right now. I know with a lot of the algorithms and things like that, I cannot play a lot of the audio that happens during commercial breaks, which is why the sound was muted. So when we go to commercial, unfortunately, until we make a switch over officially to YouTube, where we probably won't have commercial breaks, we'll probably just do a live hour and a half, 2 hour show. And I have to figure out about sound bites and things like that. I mean, we're still going to be able to play IDs.
Hey, this is Anthony Bowling, and you're listening to Anime-Zing Radio on the Blogtalk Radio Network.
And stuff. So we're
wow, that was a good impression. Do another.
Oh, I wish I could impersonate Anthony. And I've got to see about getting him back on the show too. But tonight's not about them. Tonight is about you, Rusty. I know you've got some projects that you've been working on. You've been keeping yourself pretty busy here over the past several months.
I'll tell you this. The funny thing is not to sound awful or anything, but the quarantine was a happening time for me because everything that I was working on just souped up like 30 or 40 times more. I was been working on some great stuff.
Of course,
so
you have.
It didn't put a damper on my business at all.
Yeah, and of course you have the Mac in Trouble cartoon that was coming out that you've been doing some work with on that, and a new card collector set.
You can find the promo for it on YouTube. It's called Mac in Trouble Meanwhile, which is a couple of minutes. It's very cute. It's based on the cartoon strips that originally Mac in Trouble were a part of. And then the film is in the works right now. I actually got to play the voice of Mac, which is great because, he's he's a real life cat and he's my best buddy. So. But I don't know if I'm going to be playing him in the film, so we'll see. But there's some great people involved with that. We're working with a producer and animation studio in the United Kingdom called Boombitos. They have their own channel on Roku, and they're on Amazon. They have a channel on YouTube. And they have animation from all over the world. They work with a lot of independent animators. The producer there, Michael Das, is a good friend, and an excellent producer, probably one of the nicest I've worked with. And he certainly has surrounded himself with some fantastic talent.
Oh, definitely. We had fun. We had Michael Doss on the show not that long ago, I think. I have to look back.
Cool. Yeah, he is a genuinely nice person. He really is.
Actually, back in January, we had Michael Doss on the show and had a lot of fun chatting with him. I can tell I've been doing way too many shows when I have to flip back in the notebook, and I'm probably going back 15, 20 pages to try to find, guests. Keep track of everything in a notebook because the daily planner is just too small.
Well, that's cool. You do have you have quite a backlog of shows. I remember listening a long time ago.
Oh yeah, we have. This past April, we celebrated our 7-year anniversary.
That's amazing.
So I've officially been doing this show longer than my first marriage lasted.
Well, I got to tell you, I was watching a show the other day on TV, and one of the podcasters on the show, it was a video podcast, he says, everybody and their mother has a podcast now. Didn't you know that? And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I did, but I think Doug started his before you had started yours.
I did back in 2014. April 6th, 2014 was our debut show. And
that's awesome.
We are still going.
That long ago, I think I was a teenager back then. Wow. Wow, that's so cool.
All the way back in the days of, it was
Amos
the college
and
con.
And Sherlock Holmes and The Shadow. Wow. I used to listen to The Lone Ranger and then listen to your podcast right after.
I'm not that old.
Long time.
I'm not that old. Good God.
No, but really, though, 2014, that is quite an accomplishment. I am mentally applauding for you right now.
I know, it's a lot of times, and I know when I first started this, and a big shout out goes to Scott Hare and everybody who was a part of Crossing the Void Radio, who kind of gave me the little nudge to start doing Anime-Zing Radio. It was like, let's start doing this, and we'll see what happens. And it's and big thank you to Mario, who's listening in through Blogtalk and through YouTube, says that the sound quality is a lot better on YouTube. So come on over to YouTube, search Anime-Zing Radio, subscribe to our channel, like the YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bells. Support us. We are, with conventions coming back, we are planning on doing a lot more content through the YouTube channel. And if we start doing more live streams,
every subscriber gets a free bunny.
I don't know about that, but I can always hit the special button.
You ran out of free bunnies, so
it's just a button now.
Bunny.
No more momos. And I don't even want to get into because you say bunnies and my mind goes to ghost stories, and true anime fans who know the English dub of ghost stories know the bunny episode. I don't have to say any more than that because I don't want to get in trouble.
So, I have to tell you, it's pouring rain here. Terrible thunder and lightning. Mother Nature knows how to put on a big show.
The wonders of PA. Which...
That was here yesterday.
So,
was it? Oh my God! Darren spoke! Yay!
Yeah, we had the remnants of that tropical storm out of the Gulf make its way up through North Carolina yesterday. Oh well, the rain was much needed.
It's just, well, here we get our share, so I guess it's not that big of a deal, but I'm still a New Yorker at heart, so when it rains, I complain.
Well, I complained practically all winter and most of last year that it would not stop raining, because there toward the end of the year, we were becoming like Florida with late afternoon storms from like 4 o'clock till 8 o'clock or something like that. Yeah. So basically, all my time to go do my work was generally getting rained out, and we had the wettest winter on record. I think it was like number 2 or number 3 wettest winter on record. And it wasn't until like March of this year where it finally stopped raining and gave us like almost a month and a half of no rain. Now our weather's finally starting to stabilize.
Wow. It's been like hot and cold all day. It's very strange. Then it went to real hot, and then it broke into rain. The past couple of days have been off and on of one temperature or another. It's like no one can make up their mind.
Well, that's North Carolina. You can get all 4 seasons in a day.
Yeah, right. I've heard the same thing about Texas, too. A friend of mine lives in Texas, and he says the same thing.
Well, Texas is big enough you can actually have all 4 events in one day. I've seen the rain. It was snowing in one part, it was raining and storming in another part, and it was sunny and hot in another part.
Wow. Wow, that's pretty cool. So we're going to break for a station ID.
You're listening to Anime-Zing Radio on the Blogtalk Network, and we have our pants on.
Well, now that we're going to be going like live streaming on YouTube, I have to make sure I'm at least dressed on the top half.
And YouTube.
Actually, it's funny because I've been doing a lot of voice work lately. I slipped into that mode again during the quarantine because I have a studio at home, and I do a lot of artwork, and I do a lot of projects with my studio, and I just got right back into doing voice work, and I'll tell you, man, this past year and a half has been amazing for voice work. I actually just got done this past week doing the voice of a character for a sci-fi film, a live-action sci-fi film. I'm going to be the voice of a cat. It's actually pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
This great. Yeah, it's a really cute film. Very funny. Has a lot of satire in it. We did a script run through with all the stars just recently, and I don't want to be neglectful. The name of the film is called Captain Corpse, and it's by a producer director named Elijah Winfrey, and it was actually a really, really good run-through. Everybody had crisp voices. It was great. Now, they're all going to be doing the live action, and they're going to be on the set. I'm just doing, the voice, and it's kind of like this. I can actually say, without worrying or without cutting myself down, I will be phoning it in, and I'm proud of it. But it's actually a really cool indie sci-fi film. There is mention of it online, and there's a group on Facebook, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be doing a lot of heavy press. But I was really impressed. It's a nice part. And aside from that, I did a voice for a couple of video games. I'm doing a voice for another film as well. That one I can't mention the name of, but it's like a mobster film, which is very cool. Actually, I can mention it. It's called Brazen Impact, and it's a fantastic film. You know, the great thing about doing the voices for films is that I don't even have to leave. Like, you know, I get in the studio, flick on the audio programs, and work from home, and it's great. You know, I don't have to go to the set or anything. And the good thing is, when people see you live action, you know, there's makeup and there's costumery, and you're an actor. You play a different bunch of parts. But when you're a voice actor, it's great. You can just, I can go from the voice of a cat to the voice of a mobster to the voice of a robot in seconds, and it literally sounds like different people. So, you know, I can just, you know, I can do, you know, a variety of things without even leaving the home.
And
so
that's one thing that the pandemic really brought to life is, like, from Funimation, as you know, Rusty, we have a lot of guests who are voice actors at Funimation. We saw a video, we were introduced to a video by one of the voice actors that Funimation put out about, you know, how they're able to record and still produce the animes, even though, albeit it's at a little bit of a slower rate because they weren't allowed to the studio. Everybody made home studios. Those who didn't have the equipment, Funimation gave them microphone, tablet, everything to set stuff up so they could record. They had questions. Funimation's technical department was right there to help them out. And
wow, I should be joining them. Maybe I'll get a better microphone.
it was really inspiring to see, and, you know, hats off to Funimation. I know they get a lot of flack for some of the decisions they've made, some of the shows they've put out or retracted. Interspecies reviewers who should have kept that one. That one was like, that's going to be a classic, and you missed out. But
you know what I say to stuff like that? Fans are fickle, and there's a lot of stuff that's going on in the world right now. Everything from fans being locked at home and, you know, watching their favorite stuff and listening to their favorite stuff. Wow, we just had a big thing of lightning. But anyway, what they don't seem to realize is these companies are in business for entertainment.
Oh, yeah. And
sorry about that. I'm muting it because if I don't, every once in a while we get this burst, and if I don't mute it, it will literally sound like a gunshot going off on the phone. Anyway, these companies are in business for entertainment. And if there's something that's controversial, and if there's something that's, you know, off the beaten track, if there's something that people don't agree with, they all get online, they all whine and moan and knock around these companies. But you know what? I don't see anybody else doing anything. I don't see anybody, you know, working as hard as some of these companies did during the quarantine, the virus period, on and on and on. And I tell a lot of people, it's like, you've been complaining that you don't get enough time in the studio, you don't get enough time at home, you don't get enough time doing things. Now you have all the time and you're not doing anything? What the hell? You know, I've been working my butt off this whole time. Aside from doing voices for about 8 different projects, including 2 of my own, because I just also did the voice of a dinosaur for this industrial video that's part of our card campaign. I've been doing trading cards for companies. I just got done doing cards for Artist Assemble, which is the company that does the retro back to retro cards. I'm doing work for a couple of comic book companies, card companies like Fivefinity, Topps, Bragent. I just got hired for Upper Deck. You know, you've got all this time on your hands. Don't mess around with it. You know, it's too precious. I wake up in the morning, I have a calendar on the desk here, and I cross off things as I go along. I have 5 different things I had to do today. I only got to about 3 or 4, and I wound up getting involved with 2 others that wasn't even on the calendar. But you know what? If there was no quarantine, if there was no virus or whatever, I would still be working. I just wouldn't be working as much. I just feel like this is the time. Well, I should say we're getting out of this at this point, but this was the time for people to start card sets, animation projects, graphic novels, comic books, write that great American novel, or paint that huge painting, or whatever. But I'm telling you, man, there's a lot of slack-jawed yokels that are just sitting around not knowing what to do. This is why companies like Netflix, Disney Plus, and a bunch of others are getting richer, and there's so much cancel crap online, and there's so much nonsense online, because people are just sitting on their butt. You know, you have a choice. Watch your bank account grow or watch your hair grow. It's up to you.
Mm-hmm. I know Darren's been working his tail off, trying
Good.
to grow his business.
Good, because I heard that he's got a giant tail, so, you know. Well, that's just scuttlebutt that I heard online, that's all.
Well, thank you.
There's a whole group on Reddit that's about Darren's tail, so. But that's...
You can find anything on Reddit, so I honestly wouldn't be surprised.
It all started with an isekai, and it ended up with Truck-kun.
I got reincarnated because of Truck-kun into a world with a bunny girl.
You now are Lawnmower-kun.
Pretty much.
Oh my goodness.
So how is your wife doing?
She is doing good. She has been working at a fast food restaurant recently, and for the last 2 months now. So we have some extra funds coming in, which is making it a little bit easier to pay the bills, have a little bit of fun money, and start saving money. Kineticon is right around the corner. It's coming up in September. September will be here before you know it, and we're gonna go broke.
I was actually invited to that.
Were you?
Yeah, I did one a couple of years back. Nice show. I enjoyed it, but I have to. I'm giving up doing shows and personal appearances. I've probably done in my lifetime maybe 500 shows and appearances, everything from stores and theaters all the way to private signings and then full-blown conventions. It's too hard for me now. With my back injury and the fact that travel is getting hard, nobody wants to wear the cosplay costume that goes with our table, and there's just so much going on that I've just decided it might be better for me not to appear at shows anymore. So quarantine came along at a great time for me because I got to work at home, but at the same token, it just answered my question. It was like, God, should I keep doing shows? And then you turn around and then on the news they're like, quick, stay at home, don't go out, wear a mask, blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh, crap, there's my answer.
I will say it'll be sad to attend conventions and not see you there, but at the same time, you're not too far from me, so we could always try to plan a trip out to PA and see about swinging by.
It's very hard. It's very hard. That's all. I think the biggest problem when it comes to shows, at least for me, the biggest problem is when I go, people are always asking me if I want to sign something. The last 2 shows that I did, I was getting people were asking me to sign like Walking Dead stuff, Avengers stuff from the movie. I can't remember what the other thing was. Oh, I got somebody who asked me to sign a heavy metal album. There's a record album. Usually the heavy metal like soundtrack is just one disc, but there's this rare pressing where it's 2 discs, and when you open it up, the inside shows all these beautiful scenes of artwork from the movie. And somebody got me to sign it, and I drew a little skull in gold on the, and I was so surprised that he brought this up, because it usually goes for about $500. So I felt like, you feel kind of funny when you sign something like that. I kept thinking to myself, what if I hiccuped? What if I fell? What if the pen fell out of my hand? What if there was an earthquake? What if the pen exploded?
Your hands are like shaking as you're getting ready to start. Like, I am so nervous to do this, but okay.
Yeah, really. But the thing is that I, as much as I enjoy taking pictures, that's something that started in the past couple of years. People have been going crazy taking pictures with me, which is nice. But as much as I enjoy the pictures, I love the fans, I love the signing and everything else. Honestly, I don't get enough out of the shows. And what I mean by that is, you sit on a hard chair, you eat like nonsense for lunch and dinner. The hotels are very hard to deal with. It reminds me of when I was wrestling. We used to sleep in the back seat of the car, floor of the locker room, 7 people to a hotel room, people sharing beds, chairs, floors, whatever. It's hard to do at my age, as well as it's hard to do with a back injury, and it's a little too much. So I'm decided that I'm going to go heavier into publishing. This first set that I'm working on back right now, of which your wife is one of the artists on the set. Woohoo!
Woohoo! Actually, Rusty, let's hold that, because I just noticed that we are late for our top of the hour break. So we'll get into the news set right after these messages. Nice little segue. So stay tuned for more Anime-Zing Radio right here on the Blogtalk Radio Network and on YouTube. All right, and we're clear.
Radio on the Blog Talk Radio Network. Bunny.
And welcome back to Anime-Zing Radio here on the Blog Talk Radio Network. I'm your host, Doug Engler. Joining me, as always, in the co-host seat is our good friend, Mr. Darren Starling.
Hello.
He is still awake, folks. He hasn't fallen asleep yet. Thumbs up. And I had to...
This is a Monday, not a Sunday. I didn't work as hard.
And, of course, we are excited tonight. We have an amazing guest of honor. This gentleman is a talented artist, actor, voice actor. He's even done some pro wrestling. He's the man who married my wife and I 5 years ago this past Friday at Northeast Comic-Con. Please welcome back our good friend, Mr. Rusty Gilligan.
Wow, all those people. Wow, that's fantastic.
They all fit in that little box. And just before the commercial break, you were touching base on a new project that you have that's coming out with a nice collaboration of many, many talented artists.
Yeah, I'm working on a new card set. I should say my studio is working on a new card set. It's based on dinosaurs. Everybody loves dinosaurs, even Darren. And it's called The Earth Trembles. And it's a very unusual set because the pictures on the cards are from, I don't know exactly how to put it. I guess these are exhibits from all over the world. The actual photos of these dinosaurs, herbivores, carnivores, etc., even aquatics. These are photos of the displays. So like when you go to the exhibit in China, which is one of the cards, it's an actual T-Rex that you see with a young T-Rex in the picture. These are like 15 feet tall and they look phenomenal. We have one card coming up that's a velociraptor that's in a special dinosaur park in Russia. These look like they're actual photos of real dinosaurs. It's not an art set. It's a beautiful photo set. On the back, there's jokes, there's dinosaur trivia, there's facts about the actual dinosaurs, other pieces of art and photos, skeletal work, etc. So this is really neat. And we just passed a big goal on the campaign. We're now at a little bit over 200%. And we just added 3 more cards to the set. So literally, we're going to be increasing the card count on the set greatly. But aside from the card set, there's laser-cut wooden cards, which have never been done before. There's holographic stickers. We have vintage trading cards from old dinosaur sets that we're going to be randomly putting in with all the orders. We have special comedy stickers. We have puzzles, a set of dinosaur playing cards. The biggest thing about the campaign and the set is we have these beautiful sketch cards done by some incredible artists from all over the world. We have a lot in the UK, a lot in the US, a few in Mexico and Canada. France is another one, and beautiful artwork. This is truly an international set. It is. And one other special thing is there's relic cards. You'll actually be getting a relic card in every set, and you'll either get a megalodon tooth or you'll be getting a fossil, which is affixed to the actual card, or you'll be getting dinosaur stamps from all over the world canceled. So it's got a little bit of a stamp collector vibe to the cards, as well as people who might be into dinosaurs and fossils. So, you know, it's actually this is actually a prince of a set for us. We've been working on this for 2 years to acquire the images.
Wow.
And this set is longer, has more attention, and is longer than what our Wizard of Oz set or our Pulp magazine cover set. Those just kind of fell into our lap. This has actually been in the works for about 2.5 years, maybe.
That's amazing. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You know, trading cards are a very different thing if you're into comics. At first, because for me, I started in the industry in the late 70s. And at the time, comics were the big deal. You know, that was the big deal. And, if you were into trading cards, well, then that was the big deal. But nobody ever mixed them. It took Topps in the 70s to start producing trading cards on a regular basis with Marvel. And those cards were awesome. Retro collectors are going broke picking up those cards, those comic cards, the stickers, the puzzle pieces. They were great. And it just started off this cavalcade. What are you into? Well, I collect comics and cards. You know, it's like peanut butter and jelly. You know, it just rolls right off the tongue. And trading cards have become the new stamp collecting. If you think about the way that they're collected, people have been going crazy getting sketch cards or getting sketches on regular cards or getting autographs. I actually just ran across a collector in a group here on Facebook where he had gotten all of his Star Wars cards signed by the actors. He literally flew all over the country and out of the country just to get autographs. He's been doing it since the 80s.
Wow.
He's got everybody from Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford. He even has Carrie Fisher, obviously before she passed away. The actor that played Chewbacca, actors who play, like Felix Silla, who just recently passed away. He was a good friend of mine. He played Cousin It in Addams Family, and he was different characters. He was Tweaky and Buck Rogers, and he was a various amount of Ewoks in Star Wars. Even eclectic actors and actresses, even George Lucas, he had signed. So it's a multifaceted hobby. People have even done things like put stamps on trading cards and get them canceled on special dates, like take a baseball player, what's his birthday, put a stamp on there, and then get it hand canceled at the post office on his birthday. It's incredible collectible, you know. And it's
definitely.
only a one of a kind. You think about it, it's a one of a kind, you know. That birthday passes even by one day, you'll never be able to get it again.
Mm-hmm. And then you have that ever-elusive trading card, the Darren Starling Nico Nico Ni card.
Yeah, that's the gold-foiled card that's scratch and sniff. And we dare anybody to scratch it, sniff it, and stay alert without their eyes watering and making them pass out.
And if you shake the card really, really fast, it sounds like this.
I think that's what happens when you rub the card really hard. I'm rubbing the card. Why are you rubbing the card? I heard a genie comes out. So.
And out comes Darren on a lawnmower.
Why does it smell like sweat socks buried with eggs? But anyway.
I'm waiting for Darren's rebuttal on that. He's like speechless right now. It's hysterical.
Well, after this card set, we have a big deal coming up. It's going to be a series of card sets all in the same vein because we pick up on, topics. Like I said, we did the Wizard of Oz and we did Pulp magazine covers. we've always done retro things. The dinosaur card set has been in the works for a long time, but the next set has something that's never been done in the hobby before. It's going to be a gift set. I can't tell you what it is right now, but it's going to be an amazing set, a series of gift sets that all interlink.
Interesting.
This is something that's going to be very important for card collectors, but also comic book collectors and animation people as well. This is something that's going to be very strong.
It's going to be a high school DxD set minus Zenobia.
You're really just out to roast me tonight, aren't you?
I'm just trying to get you talking.
This is where Darren looks very stern. He pierces his eyes, and he turns his red cap around, and he pulls a ball out of his pocket, and he throws it, and he goes, "Pikachu, I choose you!" And it hits the ground, shh, and out pops a lizard. And he's like, "What the hell is that?"
Not Ekans. I'm not James. I think I got that right.
He pulls out another ball and throws it to the ground, and he says, "Come alive!" And it's an apple. So, I don't know. He hasn't got it down yet.
I mean, we all can't get married as a shiny Umbreon and a Sylveon. And I still have those vows.
Getting married as Pokemon was not a big deal for me. Like I've seen everything, and seeing you guys dressed up as Pokemon for the wedding was amazing. But I got to tell you, even more amazing was cramming into that little ball for the honeymoon. That thing was flopping around on the floor and bouncing off the walls. My God, whatever you were doing in there, jeez.
Well, you might have to talk to Fox 25 News about that, because I think I was still mic'd up. And
when that ball opened up and all that smoke came out, I feared for my life.
Hats off to Fox 25 for putting up with us. Lord only knows what kind of audio they got, because I was mic'd up for the whole ceremony for like the hour plus leading up to the ceremony. Heaven only knows what they recorded. And, they did an interview with us. The archive is on Fox 25 Boston. You can search Pokemon Wedding if you want to see the footage. Hats off to Barry Boswick for photobombing our wedding photo. It was amazing to hear, it was amazing to see the news footage of us getting married. And, they interview Mickey Dolenz about me and Leanne. Like, they're talking to one of the monkeys
and
about
also,
us. What the hell?
And what was it? Karen Parsons was there, too.
Yeah. She was the one from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, wasn't she?
Right.
I can never remember her name, but she had the table right next to the cosplay stage, so she was like front and center for the ceremony.
As it was going on, she kept looking at me, and I kept looking at her, and we were giggling. She's a very nice lady. It was very funny. After it was over with, she was like, "Wow, people do that?" And I said, "People did it."
And to this day, we're still the only official wedding at the Shriners Auditorium in Wilmington, Mass.
Yep. I still wish that they did shows there.
Oh, so do I.
I know that it became hard for the promoter, Gary Summers, who's actually a really good friend and a great guy, but I miss doing shows there. Honestly, it was like a giant warehouse, like a giant garage sale, and it just had that feel to it. It was just so cool. It was.
It really was.
I don't know how to explain. What's that?
It really was, and I laughed because after Evie was born, I felt bad that she could never go to the convention at the place that her parents got married. But I brought her to a train show at the Shriners, because they had a model railroad show a couple times a year, and so I think she was like maybe somewhere maybe between 1-2 years old, and I brought her there. She'll probably never remember that she got to go to the building and the exact location where her parents got married. but she was so young, she probably will never remember that. And I don't know if we'll even have a chance to get back to the Shriners for any events.
From what I understand, being the first and only wedding there, supposedly there's a plaque hanging up somewhere in the offices with a photo.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So we will forever be remembered at the Shriners.
Right. You are memorialized in fame.
And Darren actually got to meet and talk with Barry Bostwick, what was it, a couple years ago at a convention?
About 2 or 3 years ago at Supercon Run.
And he asked Barry if he had remembered the event.
Barry is a really nice guy. He has a very down-to-earth demeanor to him. Him and I were both guest stars at the Wizard Convention in Philly, and I was a couple of rows away from him, and I walked up to him and I go, I mentioned to him about, doing the wedding and everything, and on and on and on, and I gave him a piece of artwork. Super nice guy. I like stars that are down to earth. I'm not starstruck. I don't go hunting for autographs or bugging for pictures. I don't like to bother people. I've always been that way. At that same show, I had an incredible conversation with Chuck Norris, and one of my friends, Gene Simmons from KISS, was there, and we talked for a while. It's funny, but then again, there's stars there that I personally I had a hard time with, like Jason Momoa was there, Aquaman obviously, and there were a couple of others. They're just they no matter who you are, if you're not this giant recognizable Hollywood star, they just don't want to talk to you. And it's like one time I was at a show with Vin Diesel, and we were in a picture together. Nice guy, but doesn't want to be bothered. The second the camera is not on, turns and walks away. It's just that kind of attitude. And I've taken pictures with a lot of people and been friends with a lot of people. Like Stan Lee gave me my first job, and I was friends with William Shatner when I was living in California, and obviously had show appearances. Adam West when he was still alive, a number of others, and sometimes they just have this standoffish attitude. It just kills you. Ball breakers, they just make you feel guilty for the air you're breathing around them.
Yeah. That's one thing that I can honestly say, and I don't think we're going to take a commercial break at the bottom of the hour. I think we've paid the bills. We're going to keep going and chatting, because, of course, anytime we have Rusty on, it's always amazing. I love chatting with this gentleman. Like I said, we were honored enough to have him perform the wedding ceremony for us. Darren, unfortunately, you haven't had a chance to meet Rusty outside of the show, but Rusty is bigger than life with his personality. When you get to meet him, he is just an amazing man.
You can stop being nice. Bigger than life translates to fat. Go ahead, just say it.
I'm not saying anything about fat.
Rusty is so fat. Oh my God, he's fat. He's really fat. But we only say bigger than life.
I was talking about your personality. Literally, you are one of the greatest guys, one of the nicest guys I've ever met in my life.
I appreciate that, but I have to tell you, I owe anything nice that you say about me to being, when I first started working in the industry, being a part of a group of older guys who taught me how to be appreciative of the people that are around you and how to treat the industry in a good light. Like, for example, all the comic books, all the trading card sets I've done, I've always brought in new artists, worked with existing artists. I have a good rapport with people on the set, because I feel like if you don't treat people fairly, they'll never learn. Back in the 90s, when Image Comics first started, a lot of people were unhappy behind the scenes with Marvel and DC. So they wanted to own their stuff, they wanted to do this, they wanted to do that. Okay, I think they deserve it. There were a lot of problems with guys like Bill Finger and Jack Kirby, Simon & Schuster, on and on and on. All different kinds of problems. And, not getting royalties and not getting ownership and whatever. And there was a lot of grumbling. But if you don't bring in new people, and if you don't treat them respectfully and let them treat others respectfully, they'll just come into the industry and they'll be jerks. And they'll keep being jerks all the way through. I won't mention any names, but I know some really huge artists, and they started out being super nice. A couple of them have done covers for me, or we've been friends online. We did a piece, I inked a piece of theirs or whatever, and then they just start being popular and they get picked up, and wow, bad attitude, and they're so nasty. So what I was referring to with the Image thing is, back in the 90s, Image started up. There was a big deal with a lot of the creators from Image and from others. Oh, don't do any work for free. That's like, that's the kiss of death. Your work is too valuable and they're making money off of you. But the funny thing is, if the creators or the artists understand how to make money from free jobs, doing a free job wouldn't be bad. They have to get the experience and learn how to work. So a lot of times I bring in artists who have never done some of this work before. They can't get a break. Maybe they have a shaky hand, or maybe their art skills aren't the greatest, or maybe they just don't have contacts. They could be beautiful artists, and they don't have contacts. And I like to foster them along. Hey, you're doing a good job, or, that's really good, blah, 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 blah. On this card set, the dinosaur set, I started making digital cards of everyone's sketch cards. And I started posting them everywhere. They're on Facebook and Twitter. They're on the Indiegogo site as part of the campaign. Sites like Tumblr and MeWe have them as well. There's a number of other outlets, and they keep getting pumped all the time. This is not attention that you get from some of the larger companies.
Mm-hmm.
I think they deserve it because they're trying really hard. They're not going to get invited to these giant sets. I could understand why, because some of these sets are, incredible painters, people who paint so well that it looks like a photograph. And I'm always saying, well, then if that's the case, why don't you just use photographs and not the artwork?
Yeah.
I let people's style go through, and I think that's also a nice measure as well.
We've got to pause for a moment for a quick show ID.
Hello, this is Mo of the Show by Rock, and you're listening to Anime-Zing Radio on Blogtalk.
I had to play the Show by Rock meme, or the Show by Rock ID, because earlier in the show we were talking about Show by Rock Mashimaresh, which just dropped, I think, Thursday or Wednesday? Within the last few days.
There was so much sweetness in that station ID. I think I got diabetes right then.
The big thank you, big heart out to voice actress Monica Rial for giving us that show ID. We had her on the show back on February 6th, I believe it was. It was a special Saturday show. And for you anime fans who are going to be attending Kineticon or thinking about it, she was announced as appearing at Kineticon along with so many other great guests. Honestly, Rusty, I've never been one to go after a bunch of autographs and things like that, but I easily could drop $500 in autographs to get to meet these voice actors that they have announced.
That's awesome.
And it's everybody
this
from...
is a hobby. this is a hobby that's filled with many intricate and very unusual facets. Getting autographs, getting props, getting, film used things, just enhances it. Cosplay, doing artwork, on and on and on, running a podcast. It's great to be a part of, whatever hobby or whatever form of the industry that you're into. So I always tell people, listen, it might, unless it's a ridiculous cost, if it winds up being something that, you can afford and you don't mind paying for it, sky's the limit. Break the bank if that's what it takes. You're never going to get the chance again, and if it makes you happy and it's legal, I'm all for it, I have original comic art, original trading card art, photographs, slides, old discs, signed stuff from years back. I don't usually ask for it or pay for it. I usually get stuff from friends, and because I enjoy that better. It's like I like it better to say, oh, this is somebody that I know, this is somebody I worked with, blah blah blah. But everybody's got their thing, Like I told somebody the other day, it is great to be a geek.
Oh, it is. And I have to tell this story because this happened to my wife last night at work at the fast food restaurant. They taught her something new at her work, and she said in the back of her mind, all she could hear, and she's like, I am such a weeb, because in the back of my mind, she goes, I heard new skill acquired. Like in a video game, or at that time I was reincarnated as a slime when, it's just like, new skill acquired. She's like, oh my god, get out of my head, I am such a weeb. So I had to tell that story because there are times when it's like, I learned something new at work. Now I'm going to think that every time I do something new at work that I haven't done before working on vehicles, whether it's learning different stuff about transmissions, or taking an engine out of a car, or whatever it may be. It's going to be like, new skill acquired. You changed the light bulb. I don't think I'll ever get to the point of ridiculousness of Bofuri, which I know, Darren, you understand that. New skill acquired. You bit a snake and learned how to be immune to venom. And you were talking, Rusty, about how in the industry you have there are some people who are sweethearts, they're really nice, they love to talk to everybody, and you run into those who are kind of back offish, snobbish, or whatever. In the voice acting industry, from my experience, I could probably, on the top of my head, I'm trying to think of any voice actors that I have personally met or talked to that I would put into like the kind of you got the off vibes. I could only think of maybe two, and I think Darren knows which two I'm talking about, and I'm not going to name any names, but I think there were two that kind of gave the feeling of almost it's a waste of their time if they're not getting paid for it, type of thing, whether it's reaching out for interviews and things of that nature, or I'm only doing this because I have to type of thing. But 99% of the voice actors that we have had the honor to talk to on the show, or I've had the pleasure to meet at conventions, have been amazingly nice. And I can't say enough about that community. And that's one reason why, with the autographs at Kineticon, I know that they just went through a hard time of, some of them had very little work because of being stuck at home. They may not have had a home studio set up or things of that nature. And this is like their first big hurrah. They're happy to get back out. They're happy to see the fans. And, I'm not afraid to pay, upwards of $40, $50 for an autograph, because I know it's going to help the industry that I love, and it's helping, the voice actors on the English dub side who work so hard to produce the content that I enjoy watching.
I think that of all of the voice actors that I've met, I honestly feel that there's 100% positivity. One of the reasons I think is because without being on camera and just doing the voices, I think there's a little bit more heart. The intention is they're playing to the fans. When people are doing the acting, they're acting off of each other, they're feeding off of each other. You see someone smile, you react, on and on and on. There's a lot of cutting, there's a lot of, retakes, there's a lot of camera angles. With the voice work, a lot of that is eliminated, but the thing is that there's a little bit more passion to it. It's almost as in tune with somebody singing or performing music. They're making love to the fan. And I find a lot of that is great. Some of the people that I've had great luck with have also been actors who have done voice work as well. Dave Coulier was fantastic at voices, and J.G. Hertzler, who did the voice of Deathstroke for DC, a couple of features. He was also Martok on Star Trek Deep Space Nine, as well as a bunch of other in the franchise. He's a fantastic guy. I've met more than a dozen of voice actors who have done Pokemon and anime. I've never once had a bad experience with any of them. They're all in love with their fans. You don't walk up to a musician and ask them to play a song. You don't walk up to an actor and tell them, roll on the ground, do, the monologue from this movie or whatever. But people walk up to voice actors and they're not greedy with their time. They just start doing the voice from one of their characters. And like I said, it's literally like there's a passion to it. They're making love to the fan with what they're doing. It goes a little bit past music, and it goes a little past acting.
Oh yeah. And the interaction, and Darren, I know you've talked with some.
We need a lot of that these days, because I got to tell you, the combination of all the BS that's going on online with people being nasty, all this cancel culture stuff and all this nonsense, all the politics that's invading our lives, all the virus and quarantine talk that's invading our lives. We need something special. We need something that's going to put a smile on our face. And without sounding, sappy and sugary, there needs to be a little bit more love in the world. And these people are literally, they really try. I mean, I got to say, they really, really try. The voice work, I can tell you from personal experience, voice work is hard to do. It really is. It's a different kind of acting. Sometimes you never hear the person you're talking to. Sometimes you're in the same room with them doing the same scene over and over, and you have to do an A take, a B take, a C take, put inflection on different words, say it like you're underwater, say it with an accent, say it like you're coughing or sneezing. It's really hard. It's hard work. You have to convey facial emotions, expression with your voice only. And that might be, for some people that's very hard to do. I hope with some of the work I've done, I've accomplished that, but I can tell you that there are people out there that are masters. I can't even look at Batman without thinking Kevin Conroy. I can't think about the Joker without Mark Hamill, or all of Tom Kenny's great work. I just, I can't, and the great Kirby Morrow for all his voice work. These are masters. It goes all the way back to somebody like Mel Blanc, who did amazing work in, for Warner Brothers and the cartoon industry before that. It's like I said, you have to be able to convey emotion, and you have to be descriptive, by using just your voice. You can tell these people are smiling just by listening to their lines, or laughing, or crying, or burping if that's the case. So.
Oh yeah, and it's funny to hear how things are done differently, especially in the anime world. Between in Japan, a lot of the shows are done where they'll have a group of voice actors in, and they're able to play off of each other. Where Funimation, Sentai Filmworks, Bang Zoom, some of the other studios here in the U.S., it's one at a time comes in. If you're the first person to record for a scene, you are now setting the tone for that scene, and everybody has to play off of you. And so I think that's kind of a neat contrast between the two.
Right. What I love is when you go to a large convention. This happened to me when I was at Wizard. I was a guest at Wizard for like 8 years in a row. I was very lucky to be favored by them, and they had the cast of, I think it was Supernatural, and they were using their voices only to record like Flintstones and Lord of the Rings and on and on and on, Star Wars scenes and whatever. It was fantastic. And the funny thing is, they were doing it to sound like the characters that they were, which was amazing that they could do something like that. Like when they had a script read of Futurama, and they were laughing all the way through and having a wonderful time. You could just imagine what it must be like in the studio. But it was totally funny. I think one of the best script reads I ever saw, I wasn't a part of this one, but it was one of the best I ever saw, was they had the stars from Batman the Animated Series do scenes from Star Wars in their voice. So Kevin Conroy was Darth Vader, and Mark Hamill, even though he was Luke Skywalker, was playing other characters, and it was as the Joker and as Batman, in other words. It was phenomenal. They're hysterical, they are.
Oh, yeah. Because I remember, well, it was NECC one year, and they had the voice actor script read, and they actually had Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters, and they had him up there reading the Ghostbusters script.
That's funny. He's a great guy. We actually did, I actually gave him the original art to a Ghostbusters poster that I did when we were at one of the Northeast Comic Cons.
It's I do miss going to NECC. I won't lie. It's kind of weird to have moved so far away. Partially because, we have so many friends who go there and everything.
Right. The new place that he has is very nice. It's a beautiful hotel, and there's a lot of features to it. The rooms are beautiful, first of all. The stage outside by the pool where he has his concerts, comedy concerts and whatever, is great. All the side stuff is great. It's actually a beautiful showplace. I just miss the retro charm of the Shriners. It's nothing against him, the hotel, or the show, but you know how you get when you're like, wow, this is really cool, and then there's a big change. And even though you have to adapt to it, you always get a little tear in your eye for what was at one time, So, very much enjoyed the old setting. The new one is great, though. I've gone to his show at that new hotel a couple of times, and that's great. I didn't go to the shows in between. Somebody said that there was a mall show.
Yeah, oh my God.
Location.
Oh my God! Don't get me started on the mall show. That was a trial. That was a mistake, in all honesty. And it's nothing against Gary. He did the best he could to try to find a location after things didn't work out with the Shriners. and he got a closed storefront and tried to hold a convention at the Hanover Mall in Massachusetts, which is a dying mall. It doesn't see a lot of traffic anyway. And I think he was holding the convention in an old J.C. Penney. So the aisles were set up really weird because of the floor plan of how the J.C. Penney's was set up. And I think it's the only convention that we ever vended that it's either the only or one of only 2 conventions that we've ever vended that we did not make table money back.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm not a fan of mall shows. I did a mall show a couple of years back. It was very slow. The people that were there. It was a mixture of diehard fans who go to shows, but at the same time, it was just, the average Joe that went to the mall. And it was odd. The questions were weird. The people were weird about being there. I'm not a fan of mall shows. I still did them. I always supported the promoters. But, I wasn't really a fan. I didn't see his shows during that time.
Now, I know you were a fan of the college shows, like the one in Connecticut that we met at for the first time.
Yeah, good show.
And that was actually the first time.
What show was that? That was the...
what was the name of that college? It was one up on a hill. It was the first time I met you, and it was the first time I met Gavin Goska, our sponsor with Home Circle Media, because he had a table at that show too. QuinnyCon.
QuinnyCon. Yep, I enjoyed that show immensely. I was supposed to go back, but what happened was they stopped doing the show the same way, and they, I think what it was is there was, okay, the first show that they did was run by a faculty member, and because of the fact that that class graduated and that faculty member moved on, nobody wanted to pick up and do the next show. So I think the next one was just basically like a festival. I don't even remember. And then when they finally invited me back, they canceled at the last moment the whole show.
Yeah, and they haven't had a show since, to my knowledge.
Yeah, this was not due to the virus or anything. This is years ago.
Yeah.
It was a nice show. I very much enjoyed it. I brought a comic artist with me. Long story there, but he wasn't very appreciative, which is a shame. And when you do these shows and you work with these people, you have to understand that you're there for the fans. I don't always make a buck. I mean, obviously, I'm there to sell prints and do something, but you don't always make a buck. As a matter of fact, many times I've gone to shows and I don't sell any art at all. I don't make a buck, if you want to put it that way. You go and like one show, for example, was done in a museum that I went to, and I don't think I made very much at all, but at the same token, I took maybe over 100 pictures. I signed like 50 or 60 things. It was insane.
Yeah.
So,
and
I just looked it up. QuinnyCon was 2014.
Yeah, that was right as we were starting our show.
Yep. I remember sitting at the window. It looked like a ski lodge almost. I remember sitting at the window, and the promoter had this young girl that was like an assistant. I shouldn't say young girl. She was a college student. But anyway, and she kept bringing tea and snacks to my table all weekend long. It was very funny. They were great people. They treated us really nice. The hotel was beautiful. We had a wonderful time. It's a shame that they didn't continue.
Yeah, that's what Gavin said too, because Gavin had a blast at that. He was hoping to go back, and they never brought it back, which was sad.
Yeah. And the funny thing was, that show was very odd in one respect, and it worked in our favor. It was a free show, so all the students were like walking in from the dormitories wearing their pajamas and on and on and on. They would go into the movie room, or they'd go into the cafeteria, which was right next door, and they'd come into the show, and we had a great time there. It was so much fun. Those kids were fantastic. They were very appreciative that something was happening on the weekend while they were in college, because college was still in session. This wasn't a summer show.
No, this was a fall show, so college had just come back.
It was great. It was so fun. As a matter of fact, I did another show. It was a one-day show, and it was a high school, and there was no money, no entrance fee. We had a table in the back. Some of the guests there was like a Klingon group, and there was a Star Wars group, costume group. And then it was myself and Jim Crut, who was in Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, and Jeremy Ambler, who was in The Walking Dead. And there was some writer, I can't remember what his name was. And we were all there. They kept coming. The kids kept coming back. They kept buying a print, have me autograph something, sign a DVD, take pictures over and over and over again. It was such an action-packed day. And it's funny because I made, and this is on the side because money doesn't mean that much when I go to shows. I do it for other reasons, but I made more money at that one-day high school show than I did at a two-day show at a huge hotel.
Sometimes those little shows will surprise you because what you have is exactly what people are looking for, and you never know when you're going to find that special event where it's like, and like you said, a lot of times, especially like small artists that are starting out, you go to these shows trying to get better known, get your artwork out there, get your work out there, make some connections. And you hope to make at least table money back. I think that's the goal for any up-and-coming artist, is you want to try to make at least the money back for what you spent for the weekend to break even.
Right. Well, I always tell artists when they go to shows, there's ways to make money even when you don't make money off of a show. There's ways to do things when you're at shows that a lot of people don't consider. The value of the photos, the way you can video cast, commissions, on and on and on. There have been shows where I've absolutely made nothing more than $50, but I've made tons after the show was over.
Oh yeah.
People want commissions. People want me to work on something. I made a connection, on and on and on. Like the old saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words. But online, photos from a show, a good set of photos, it can be worth 1,000 shares. You never know who's going to see it.
Oh, exactly.
I used to take pictures of people holding up my artwork. I used to play all kinds of funny pictures with, and poses, I should say, with cosplayers. I remember Star Wars guys beating me up, and I remember, fighting with musicians while their guitar is in their hands, and kids climbing all over me, and, then our cosplayer Mac would be doing something, and then something else would be going on, and I actually have an album on Facebook of just being beaten up, knocked over, whatever, funny poses. because I just love those shots. People think they're hysterical. It's better than just being, the clown that sits behind the table playing Angry Birds on his phone, waiting for someone to come up and buy something. You barely look up, hey, how you doing, and whatever. That just aggravates me to no avail.
That's why whenever we had a table, if Leanne was working on artwork or something, like her focus would be doing sketching or something like that. That's why I would always try to make eye contact with everybody passing by, give a smile, a hello, try to at least make a connection with the person. Not so much, hey, come and buy stuff, but hey, take an honest look. Is there something you're looking for? Because Leanne and I had gotten into the habit of when we vent a convention, we walk around the artist alley to see what every other artist has. For two reasons. One, we might see something we like, and two, we only have a small niche of anime and, comic and, art. If we know what other artists have and know about where in the dealer's area or artist alley that stuff is, if somebody comes up and says, hey, have you seen stuff from this show? Well, we don't have anything, but we know that an artist about 2 rows down to the left and 3 rows back, they should have something of what you're looking for. Then the people are extremely appreciative that you're not trying to force your stuff. You're trying to help them find something they're looking for. And, we've had people who were so, surprised that we knew what other artists had and things of that nature. They actually came back and purchase something because something caught their eye when they were trying to find what they were looking for. And it's like, well, it's great that they, liked the artwork enough that they wanted to purchase something, but our focus was more on helping them find what they wanted because, like you said, you go to these events as a vendor, it's not just about making money, it's about making the connections, it's about making memories, it's about the experience.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, shows have changed a lot since I first started doing them years ago. A lot of the stars, the artists from the comics and the movie stars, etc., used to
90
allow the
seconds
dealers to come in and sign their stuff for nothing. So, a dealer would be at his table and he'd grab a bunch of comics from this certain artist, and they'd sign them, within reason.
Yeah.
And it was a good way to spread fear. A lot of the comic stores would be making money. Sometimes an autograph would go to somebody who has a store in Maryland, somebody who has a store in
60 seconds.
Part of the country, or whatever. Things changed. Everybody is very much into the money handling. Everybody is very much into, making a buck. And I get it. It's a business, and nobody should shy away from that. But there's a little bit of the brotherhood aspect, a little bit of the fan aspect that's starting to be missing from the shows, which is one of the reasons, I should say another one of the reasons why I basically stopped. There is
before you go into that, before you go too far, Rusty, we have about 10 seconds left of the show. I want to let everybody know next week we have the Chaotic Goodcast joining us. Of course, a big thank you to Rusty for joining us
10
tonight.
seconds.
It's amazing how fast the time just flew by.
Yeah, I didn't even notice.
So on behalf of Anime-Zing Radio and everybody, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, or a wonderful week. We'll see you next weekend right here on the Blogtalk Radio Network, and possibly YouTube.